PMAC Movies back for an unscripted PMAC Movies talk video, which it's been a long time since we've done one of these. I was actually just made a haul video, just made my Rare Waves and Walmart haul video, and I was going to be done. I was going to go watch a movie, but I always have ideas of videos to make, and then I put them off and I don't make them because it's hard to kind of formulate your thoughts about a subject or a topic, and then maybe making an outline for what you want to talk about, and then it just never happens because putting the work in. And then, and then you think, okay, well, what's the point of doing this? How many people are going to watch it? Who really cares? This and that. So it gets to the point where it's either going to end up just being an impulsive video, or it's not going to happen because I'm just not going to put the time and resources, time, effort, to make the video. So I think I've made a video like along these lines before, so it's kind of about movie collecting in general, compulsive behaviors, addiction, how it's related to our stress levels in our day-to-day life. Maintaining some form of balance in your life, balance with your interests, because it's good to have interests, it's good to have hobbies, and things like that, but things can, pretty much any activity you do could go too far, and then the question is, what is too far? So, first of all, I am a drug and alcohol addiction counselor, but that's the main focus or the main title of the job. But a lot of it's understanding compulsive behaviors and addiction in general, because addiction is definitely not just with alcohol and drugs. It's there's addictions out there for everybody. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of different addictions that people could have, compulsive behaviors that people could have. The common ones you would think of would be drugs and alcohol, food, gambling. What are some of the most common ones, though? Is drug addiction one of the most common? It's gotten more prevalent, definitely, but shopping addiction, food addiction, I think technology addiction. These addictions are right up there as far as causing issues in society as drug and alcohol addiction. Technology addiction is one that's really come along here in the last decade and a half or 2 decades, where people are just stuck on their cell phone, or you see a lot of teenagers and beyond teenagers at this point stuck in front of the TV on the video game systems. And it's getting even worse with the younger generation nowadays, because for me, born in the 80s, I was kind of in the middle of it. So the internet kind of got big when I was in middle school. I didn't even grow up with cable TV. I don't think we didn't have cable. We got DirecTV, and that was at some point in middle school, I think. I don't think we had it at all in elementary school, and probably a little bit into middle school. We got DirecTV, so then you have access to cable channels. But when I was young, growing up, I didn't. And in my bedroom, I still didn't. We only had DirecTV and the downstairs TVs. So I grew up in kind of the middle. Like I said, the internet got big in middle school, but nowadays with kids, they're like in the cradle with a cell phone or a tablet practically. So their minds, their everything, those years when you're formulating, your personality's formulating, your likes, your interests, everything's formulating, and these kids have some sort of device in their hands. Besides the TV, you got the TV screen too. You got the TV screen, you got YouTube. A lot of little kids are watching YouTube on the tablets or the cell phone. So they're totally attached to the screen. Whereas with, people growing up more so in the 90s, early 2000s, yes, you still had the screens, but it's really escalated since then. So it's really, their attachment to those devices is very, very strong. So that's kind of an example of, I see that as addiction. You're forming a being with serious addiction issues. If they're given that cell phone or that tablet, those things are very, very addictive. They're made to be that way. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these other ones that I don't even use, very addictive. Scrolling through this, there's so much on there. They're very addictive. The games that these kids play, and they're just, they get attached to it. So those are, I think, some more blatant ones. Food addiction, they say, is actually more difficult to overcome than drug addiction because you have to eat. You can't avoid the trigger. Whereas with alcohol and drug addiction, there's ways to avoid drugs for the most part. Alcohol is very difficult because that's another one. You're not going to be able to avoid alcohol. It's in the grocery stores. You go to any sort of parties during the holidays, during the summer, there's going to be alcohol around, which makes it very difficult. The trigger is always going to be around. You can't totally avoid it. Whereas with drugs, you can probably, to a large degree, if you really try to, stay away from certain people, certain environments, you can avoid those. Food, on the other hand, you have to be eating. You have to have some sort of sustenance. So food addiction is very difficult to overcome also. What about movies, baby? What about movies? So obviously I have a huge collection. I've been buying movies since, I think, 2004? I think 2004, actually. So almost 20 years. Like next year will be 20 years, and I've definitely spent a good amount of money on them and all those things. And I had other things that I used to be into also. I used to be into sports cards and like tennis equipment to a certain degree, CDs. But over the last 20 years, it's basically been movie collecting. And it's, you know what your financial means are, how much time and energy you put into it and all these things. And I would say I've definitely gone too far with it at times, and then trying to figure out the proper balance. Well, I think if you confront a person who their movie purchasing is overboard, a lot of times people are going to struggle with even accepting it, or like, how dare you judge me, or how dare you judge somebody else. So a lot of this has to do with judging myself and then trying to improve on it. So there's definitely, like, as far as for me, finding that balance between what's a healthy amount of buying, what stuff do I need as far as sales and things like that. It's like a constant game of improvement. But I think where a lot of this comes from is we have like a certain amount of stress. We live in a very like manufactured state, a very manufactured system. A lot of what we deal with is not natural in our day-to-day lives. We don't, like, if you look at the natural environment, what an animal deals with, they're able to really stay in the moment and do what they need to do out in nature. Whereas humans, in our system that we're living in, that I don't know how you'd get out of it. You have to make money, you have to pay taxes, you have to pay bills, you have such and such coming up that you have to do, you have tasks that you need to accomplish. So it's always like things are keeping you future oriented, and then we're more stuck in our, like, we have our past mistakes too. Oh, I wish I didn't do this. You know, our maybe our little minor traumas that we've had from the past that we're like trying to cope with, that, you know, you think about mistakes you made in life. So we're supposed to be in the present, but we're kind of, if a piece of you is stuck in the past, having trouble with somebody passing away, not totally coping with it, like I said, mistakes you've made or embarrassments you've had, things that happened to you when you were younger, getting picked on, getting in fights, you know, getting in arguments and saying dumb, like whatever things harm you from your past. Everybody's got stuff. And then the future stuff. Oh, by this date, I have to have this done. I also have to have this done. I have this, like, you know, for me, I have certain things for work I have to do, certain, you know, licensure, like work license, but also like driver's license stuff, or getting things with your car. Oh, I have to get it inspected. I have to do this. I have to get an oil change. I have to, like, just everything adds up, that you have a lot of, you know, stuff in the past, a lot of stuff in the future going on. And I think a big part of addiction is trying to find a distraction. And the distraction tends to be the worst for people that have probably, I mean, it could be a variety. It's not the same every time, but, you know, people that have more serious traumas, or people that have had trouble dealing with certain things that happen in their life more than other people, I think their compulsive behaviors are going to be escalated. As far as substance related, as far as my work, I find that people who have the most trouble getting away from drugs and alcohol, it's because they have past trauma in their lives that is very, very hard for them to overcome. That's a big part of it. Also, how old they were when they started. If somebody starts using drugs when they're 10, which does happen, versus somebody who started abusing drugs when they were 21, let's say, the 21-year-old probably is in a better spot to overcome it, because they probably, before they started, they had other hobbies, other things that they enjoyed, maybe some coping skills already developed. That young kid at 10 years old who starts abusing substances, it would be hard for them to have much to build on as far as hobbies, interests, coping skills that they've already developed. So when somebody starts young, it's very difficult. A lot of times that is due to trauma. So those are some of the biggest factors, though, I think, as far as age started and trauma, which of course has to do with, like, the family environment they were in. Now, when you think about the family environment too, you look at not so much like how much money the family, because, like, people like, oh, well, that they came from a good family and this and that, but did the were they actually shown a proper amount was there an emotional connection? That's probably the biggest thing you need growing up, is like that emotional attachment to the people who are caring for you. Did the kid have that emotional attachment? So you can't just look at, oh, well, that person, their family's doing well. Their parents, you know, the mom stayed at home, the dad worked, or both parents worked, they made a lot of money, the kid had everything, and then they turned out like this. Well, a lot of times when the kid had everything, they had everything because the parents are focused on making money, and as far as emotionally connecting to their kids, that very well may not have happened. So that's a big issue that also, and then I find in working with people, a lot of times it's hard for somebody to realize that that was even an issue that led to substance addiction or, you know, substance abuse. Because they see it, you know, their parents provided, and that's what they see. Even then, like, they don't necessarily see, and not always, but, you know, it can be hard for people to see that they didn't have any sort of proper emotional development, emotional connection with their families, more or less, and that causes a lot of issues. And that person lacking insight on that is also another issue, because they can't even identify what the issue is that they need to work on, quite possibly. So, as far as buying movies, I find it interesting that, you know, people's extreme, and of course, you know, PMAC has extreme with the collection. I do it within my means. I've never paid a cent of interest on my credit cards. I always pay my credit cards off. I've never not been able to pay my bills. So it's not, as far as those things, my collecting, although extreme, it's not harming me. I'm not saying it's not harming me in any way. I think time, I used to put probably more time into it when I was driving all over Rochester trying to find stuff. And part of the reason I don't do that anymore is because there's just not options out there. And plus I already have like quite a bit. Now it's more the boutique stuff, I would say. But time is probably one, and focus, which I think's gotten a little bit better as far as, I want to watch a movie. I need to watch these movies, blah, blah, blah. But being able to focus on other things, like looking after Layla, playing with Layla, or, you know, just doing other things, being able to relax without having a movie on, things like that. And kind of accepting. I just enjoy kind of getting deals on stuff. Buying movies, as far as getting something that I think in the future, what I'm paying for it now, the value of it in the future is going to stay or possibly increase. And that's not necessarily always right, but I think that's part of my enjoyment of it. I like the movies, but also as kind of like collector's items and stuff like that, or with the digital codes, you know, I'll be able to get something for $8, sell the digital code for $5. I got the item for $3. And then, you know, if I wanted to sell it, I'm going to be able to sell it at a profit, most likely. So to me, it's about kind of those aspects of it too, not just buying the movies, although that is part of it. It's several different things. And then just enjoying kind of, you know, obviously getting the movie in the mail. There's that part of it, getting in the mail, getting something new. But that quickly fades, because it is, you know, it is compulsive behavior as far as buying stuff. Because look, think about this. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of movies. Just an unbelievable amount of movies. I got all these shelves, everything. I got bins down cellar. I got bins in the closet, bins at my parents' house. And my main focus tends to be, when's the next delivery? When I got more movies coming Monday, and I'm excited about that. That's not health. That's an issue right there. That is an issue when you have, let's say I have 10,000 movies, and I have 5 coming Monday, and I'm not focused on the 10,000 that I have. I need those 5 movies that are coming in the mail. Like, I need that package. There's something wrong there. There's something really wrong there. So we have to accept that this isn't a behavior that is getting you anywhere in life. And I understand that, like getting movies, it's kind of a quick thrill. It's an enjoyment, and I kind of accept that I enjoy it, but also continuing to, like, it's not healthy, and trying to work on creating more balance with it. Which part of that is selling a bunch of stuff. Selling a bunch of stuff I don't need. Maybe selling out of print stuff. say, you know, I paid $20 for this. Now it's worth 80. Let's sell it. And now I can think, okay, $60 profit. That kind of went towards other stuff that I have in my collection. Stuff like that. You know, it's pretty rare that you're going to be able, I think in this and movie collecting, that you're going to be able to do something like that where you're getting back 4 times what you paid for it. But that was just my example. It's definitely possible because I definitely have sold, you know, Criterions and stuff that went out of print. I've sold for, you know, several times what I paid for them. So it's possible. But, you know, now I'm working, I'm making enough money that I don't need to sell stuff. So stuff's just accumulating. And it's like, I'm not in a hurry to sell stuff. The reason I need to sell stuff isn't really for the money. It's more so for, I got too much shit. I need to get rid of shit. But also, as far as I find that lately I've been picking up my buying again. So now what's going on, taking a look at that, you know, psychologically. And, you know, part of it is, hey, you know, I did get a promotion at work, a little bit more money. Things are going, I mean, I don't make a lot of money, but I make easily enough to get by. And then, but should I should I spend that much on movies? Like, it's still, you know, it's, just because you're making more doesn't mean, and I don't spend like all my money, but, you know, these are just things I think about. And I, like I said, I look at how other people buy, and I just, you know, buying all these new releases, why buy a mainstream release at a slipcover version at $25 when you know, when you're like 80% sure you're going to be able to get that slipcover edition for $10 if you just wait, and it's still going to have the slipcover. And I think with limited editions, it's a little bit more tricky, and I'm working on that too, as far as figuring out. I bought a bunch of 88 films with the slipcovers, you know, and I probably, you know, there's a sale right now for some of these, and they're like probably not half of what I paid, but probably 75-80% less than what I paid. But it's about figuring that out. Like, if you wait too long, then you will miss out on it. So, you know, just improving that aspect of it for me is something I need to do too, as far as what do I really want to get? How much do I want to spend on it? When it is a limited edition I really want, is it one that I need to snag right away because it's going to sell really well? Or is it something where it's still going to last? Just because I want it doesn't mean that everybody else wants it. You know, that's something to look at too. There's really very few people that collect movies. So a lot of times you don't need to grab something right away. With some you do. With some it's like they, you know, maybe some really popular like Arrow limited edition, it sells out right away. That's very, very rare that happens though. Like, I'm looking at my Gamera set with the big book and stuff, that it sold out right away. Or what was that one, that's somewhat recent one, the I don't remember what it's called, another Arrow one, an Arrow box. It has the book and everything, sold out pretty quick, but then you could kind of still get it, and then they, you know, and then they release like a standard edition of it. So a lot of times if you miss out on something, you'll at least be able to get the standard edition of it. So I guess it comes down to how bad do you really want it? How bad do you really need it? But I don't know. I've been talking for over 24 minutes here. It is around dinner time, and you know, I'd like to make more of these videos where I just talk. So it was kind of maybe all over the place. I didn't have any sort of template. I don't have anything written in front of me here. But I think it's interesting to draw parallels between drug and alcohol addiction, other compulsive behaviors, other addictions, hobbies. How far do we take these hobbies, and how far is too far? How, you know, is it taking away from your family relationships? Are you taking it that far that it's taking away from time with family, your finances, your time, other things that you enjoy doing? So another thing I want to say is too, you take a look at some of these people on YouTube making videos and really pushing this stuff. Pushing the consumerism. They're not. I don't think that they're out to harm anyone or anything like that. But it's really unhealthy to do that, and I see it a lot. They're just like and it's making people's addiction worse. It's and I see, for me, watching YouTube videos of people buying extreme movie buying, and, you know, getting these movies and stuff, and they're pushing you, like, you gotta have this one. And it's when you're putting that stuff into your mind, when you're watching that stuff, it's going to lead you to buy more. So these bigger YouTubers, these bigger Blu-ray collectors, they're making money off it and all that. They're not going to stop doing it. But it's more about you. It's not about them. They're going to keep doing it. They're not necessarily wrong to do it. They are making money. They're not necessarily wrong to do it. But you have to be careful about it. Watching these channels like Films at Home, Serial at Midnight, that one guy coming up more, Mid-Level Media, he'll post something like, oh, Amazon's having all these great deals now. And I'm like, huh? And then he posts like a picture of it. They're not even good deals. So he's just trying to get people to click. He's just trying to make money off of people blatantly. And I don't need to hear from them. I've made videos mentioning these YouTubers, or they'll leave a comment, this and that. You don't need to comment. You know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, and you know what you're doing. This is for the people that are getting influenced by it. You need to be aware that these people are trying to push these products. They're trying to make money. Websites too, like review websites, this and that. It's getting these ideas in your head that you need to get that. You need to get this item. This is a great item. You need to get this item. And it's fueling people's compulsive movie buying. It's fueling addiction. I know because I see it myself, so I know it's affecting other people too. So be careful about watching these big, especially the big ones. I'm not even saying that watching PMAC movies is necessarily a healthy thing to be doing. Of course, I'm extreme with it, but they're making money off it. They're getting free stuff too. They're making money. It's a business for them, and Google or YouTube or whatever is pushing them. You can't have that many subscribers without being pushed. And I don't know how they do it exactly, but they are pushed by the algorithm. I think PMAC movies, before I started being more real, like talking about some deeper stuff, my subscribers was going up, 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 and then it just stopped at some point when I started, talking about stuff going on. But these guys, I don't know how exactly they do it, but the algorithm likes them. Their videos are going to be suggested to everybody, and they are pushing buy, baby, buy, consume. And if you watch their videos, you will consume. Like, they're pushing it. I don't know, and some of them just aren't that good too. And I just see so much phoniness in the videos. I don't know. And then they might come back. I'm not even gonna get into that stuff. But that's what I see. So you really got to be careful with that, because that the system wants you watching watching that sort of stuff. And maybe, you know, my haul videos aren't even necessarily the healthiest thing to watch. I'm not getting anything from anybody. I don't have any, I'm not making any money off of this. So there's that aspect to it. I'm basically just doing it to do it at this point. But you definitely got to be careful as far as people pushing stuff, especially when they're being pushed by the algorithm, so to speak. I don't know exactly how all that stuff works, but it's definitely fishy, and you have to be careful what kind of content you're consuming and what it's pushing you to do. These companies aren't giving out free movies for no reason. There is a reason for it. These people are showing the movies, they're pushing the movies, they're pushing the Blu-rays, the 4K. The 4K pushing is extreme. For the most part, if you have something on Blu-ray, do you really need it on 4K? How good is your equipment even good enough to get the quality of the 4K versus the Blu-ray? I mean, I can see it sometimes, like very early Blu-rays, and then you got like a new 4K. That's one thing. But when you have like stuff that already has an awesome edition on Blu-ray, and these people are pushing the 4K, I don't really understand it. I don't see that probably a very large portion of people does not need any 4Ks. Or very, very few. How much more are you really going to enjoy the movie watching it on 4K than Blu-ray? I think it's very, very minimal. But of course, I am speaking from my own perspective, but that's how I see it, I guess. My throat's starting to, I think I've been talking for too long. So if you enjoy these type of videos, let me know. Hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. This is a video like putting quite a bit of, thought into this, time into this, and I've put over a half hour into it. So if people don't care, then I'm just not going to make these sorts of videos anymore. But these are actually kind of the most important videos I think I could make, is the talking about real movie collecting, but talking about real everyday life issues. And it relates to a lot of different things, what I've talked about here today. It relates to a lot of our interests, a lot of our compulsive behaviors, and maintaining balance in life, and coping with stress in a way that isn't just allowing that stress or those issues that you have to linger. So if you like it, if you find it important, definitely leave some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Or else there's not going to be a point in me making this type of video anymore. So, I think that's it for now. I'm actually starting to feel like something in my throat from talking so long. So, we'll see you next time on PMAG Movies.